Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 5 of ReWild and Maximize Life. This week, we're going to talk about specializing your diet. I am your host here today, Sven Kron, and again, today I said we're going to talk about how to specialize your diet. We're going to actually talk about the different ways that you can specialize your diet, specifically for you, for your own goals and areas. And I'm going to give you a quick overview of the things that we've already covered in this series, but if you need to catch up at all, just go to rewildyourhealth.com/replay. Let's just go ahead and dive right in and check out today's topic. All right, so again, this is week 5 of the webinar series, ReWild and Maximize Life. This webinar series is brought to you by CrossFit Stanton. Definitely go check these guys out. They've been very helpful. They're interested in your health and your own performance goals, and they work with you. Just go to, I've got the website there at the bottom, CrossFitStanton.com. You can check them out on, Facebook and Instagram at CrossFit Stanton. So we've been going through the 7 steps to correct, balance, and maximize your nutrition. Today we're on number 5, specialize your diet. So, step number 5 in your health goals is how to specialize your diet. The birthright for every human is to be able to adapt and thrive in any environment. That is one thing that I try to remind myself that really the big thing that humans are good at is being able to adapt to any environment that they're in. But all right, before we continue, I want to make sure that you had gotten your downloads here. The first one is from me. It's the 7 steps to correct, balance, and maximize your nutrition. It's my cheat sheet that we're breaking down right now. It touches on how to take your health into your own hands. And you and anyone else can get a free copy of this by texting the word ReWild to 44222. The second one is from Briar Kalia. It is ReWild Your Diet's 13 ancestral nutrition tips. It's Briar's guide to having great nutrition. It's very similar to this webinar, and it goes much more in depth on certain topics. You can actually get that by clicking on the button below this screen. Yeah, so here are the 2 downloads again. Now you are in the right place if you love learning about health and nutrition. Of course, who doesn't? If you've ever struggled to be healthy in the past, if you've been overweight, sick, or unhappy, or if you have a loved one who is unhealthy and you aren't sure where to start looking or what to do, or you're just searching for knowledge, you're in the right place if you love food. And this is a resource for all kinds of food lovers, because we'll really break down the nutrition in all of this stuff. So what you're going to learn today, you've learned all of this information so far. So what's the next step? You'll learn how your genes can affect your nutrition and what this means for your health plan, for your personalized health plan. You'll learn how to eat for your genes, through a real life case study. I'm going to actually break down all of my genetics here for you so that you can kind of understand how you can apply your genome to what you eat. And I just want to remind you that if you have any questions or you want to discuss this view with anybody else, just use the hashtag ReWildYourHealth, and you can keep the conversation going. There's my Twitter handle at the top. A little bit about me. Again, my name is Sven Kron. Here's a couple pictures. I'm the creator of ReWild Your Health, and I have studied nutrition for years. I've really dived into it to try to figure out what's best for me and for my family. I decipher tons of information. I love learning about health. I listen to podcasts, read blogs and books. There's conferences, e-conferences, courses, seminars, coaching, documentaries. I break down everything to get the information that I need and try to apply it to my own life. And these are some of the people that I follow on the top left. There's Daniel Vitalis. He's the founder of the ReWild movement. and a really big source of knowledge for nutrition. On the top right is Ben Greenfield. He is one of the people that really goes in depth about the scientific aspects of health, and he's really good in the field of fitness and exercise science. And in the middle on the bottom is Sean Stevenson. He's one of the types of people that really shows you how to apply this stuff to your life. You know, he makes it really practical for you. These are the kinds of people that I follow. And my goal really is to distill this information for you. I discussed my whole story in week 2, you know, from my childhood as an overweight child. And I had tried to do everything to lose weight, to get healthy. I give you the short version, but in school, you know, I actually weighed more than I do now. I had worked out, but, you know, I saw no results. I didn't know what to do. You know, finally one day I had come across veganism, which led into, you know, every other diet that you can imagine that I tried. It's been a lifelong quest and a quest in my genome. But again, today's about you and how you can apply this information to your life. So what is the next step to improving your health? And let's go have a quick recap, you know, of what we have learned up to this point. You know, to be able to apply your genome to your nutrition, it's best to have a solid grounding in nutrition first. So this is just a reminder of the 7 steps that you need to go through. And number 1, find out where you are. So there are 2 factors of health. There are internal factors, which are weight, energy, hormone levels, absence of disease, fertility, and mental health. Those are all internal factors of your health. And then there are external factors, and that's your diet, movement, community, purpose, and environment. Your internal factors are what happens inside of your body. The external factors are what happens to your body. So number 2, learn about what's good. So again, I was unhealthy my whole life, you know, until I found the teachings of Dr. Weston A. Price. He was a dentist and anthropologist, and he wanted to know why his patients had the problems that they had. So they all had bad teeth, cavities, gum disease, you know, all that kind of stuff. He had to do, you know, lots of dental procedures. And he wanted to go find the people that had the best teeth in the world and find what they're doing right and what he could do to bring back this knowledge to his patients so that hopefully he could actually start making them healthier instead of treating the symptoms. And so these people that he found were the healthiest people in the world. You know, it turns out that your teeth really are an indication of your level of health. So the people that he found that had the best teeth were the healthiest people. And he had found 2 groups of people. He found hunter-gatherers and traditionalists. And they were the healthy populations because they were living with their genes instead of against them. So step 3 was replace what you eat. And a diet, by definition, is what a person or species eats over an extended period of time, you know, to be able to sustain itself, to carry itself forward, to give itself energy, to keep going. And again, I want to reinforce that what we are doing is not a diet. You don't have to just jump to this right away. You know, I want you to do it on your own terms, and there's just really one simple step to, you know, get to the diet that you want, and that's just to add in good food. So that way you don't have to, you know, get discouraged or fight yourself. You know, it's really an easy process to get there. So then step 4 is to add in good sources, and I'm going to give you the 5 foods here that can change your health. So the first one is bone broth. You know, bone broth is a good source of amino acids. It helps to fix your digestion. It can make your skin, your organs work better. It can help you lose weight. You know, it's a modulator like that. It has lots of vitamins and minerals, and it tastes great, really. The second food that you should add into your diet with fermented foods, you get lots of vitamin K and B12 from them. They really help assist with digestion. You know, they're pretty much digesting it before you eat it, so it makes it much easier for your gut to digest. You absorb a lot more, you know, of the vitamins and minerals and all the nutrients in the food. You know, it can help rebuild your gut and your microbiome. It can eliminate autoimmune conditions, by making your digestion healthier. You have less allergic reactions to certain foods, and they're also really easy to make. Number 3 is organs. So they're very high in the fat-soluble vitamins A, D, and K. They can help your organs function better. If you eat liver, it's good for your liver. If you eat brain, it's good for your brain. So liver, gram for gram, is one of the most nutrient-dense foods that you can actually eat, just because it's a storage organ for stuff like vitamin A. They can prevent degenerative diseases. They can help you detoxify. Plus, they protect your DNA and your RNA. And we're going to break down DNA here in just a little bit. Seafood is the 4th food that you should add into your diet. It's very high in healthy fats. It helps protect and rebuild the brain. They are very nutrient dense because they're, high in the healthy fats. So they contain lots of vitamin A and D, and they contribute to healthy organ functions also. And then insects is the last superfood that you should add into your diet. They're high, in fats and very high in protein. They're one of the higher sources. They've got way more protein than something like beef does. They're plentiful, very easy to get, and they do have more nutrients in general than livestock, not just protein. They have a lot more nutrients, and they're easier on the environment because they take much less water and space. All right, so we're up to step number 5, specialize your diet. So there are a few ways for you to specialize your diet. And to specialize it, it's going to be totally based on your goals. It's going to be based on your geography or your environment, and it's going to be based on your genetics. Those are the 3 fields that I like to break things down into. So your goals, your specific health goals, fitness type goals that you want to get to, it really affects what your health plan is. And, a couple examples would be like to lose weight, build muscle, train for an event following a certain diet. If you're overweight and you want to lose weight, that's going to look a lot different than if you're trying to build muscle, just because the diets that you would eat for each would probably affect your body differently, and you would be doing different external factors that would be helping you implement this. So if you are trying to lose weight and you lower the carbs that you have in your diet, it's going to not help you build muscle, because the muscle is going to need the carbs to help rebuild and to fill them up after they go through a strenuous session of training. And again, training for something like a Spartan race or a Tough Mudder is going to be a lot more strenuous than if your goal is to fix your adrenal fatigue or something like that. So your geography is the next thing that you need to consider, and this is the location or the season that you're in. If it's an urban versus rural, it's really just the environment that you're in. So I say that you should try to eat wild foods, eat seasonally when you can, and it totally depends on your geography. So the seasons are going to be different depending on where you live. The type of things that'll grow will depend on where you live. So if you're foraging, there's going to be different stuff in the east and in the west. The north is going to have other stuff, and the south is going to be totally different. So it's really specific to you. So if you're living in a certain area and you have a certain goal, plus you want to add in some wild foods, this is totally going to change the way that you eat. And plus, an urban versus a rural environment. In an urban environment, you can still forage. There's just much less to pick from, and then you'll be surrounded with pollution, with electromagnetic waves, with exhaust, and noise pollution, and all this other kind of stuff around that'll really affect how your body works, as opposed to living in a rural environment, where maybe you'll have to watch out for farms or have lots of pesticides around. In an urban environment, it's going to be harder for you to get water than it is in a rural environment. So if you live somewhere, you don't have to be totally lost, but you just have to take into account when you're making your diet and try to figure out what is the best way to approach it, so that way you don't set yourself up for failure. And then your genetics. This is the last thing to really consider here. So it's what genes you have, what your DNA is like, and then which genes are activated, which is more important than the ones that you have. It's how your body works. So I'm going to break down some of this information a little bit so that you can understand it before we dive in too much. Again, genetics is the study of your genes, and it really is important to be aware of and to keep in mind when you are trying to figure out what you should eat. And the reason that I say here that you need to make sure that you need to make sure that you really need to make sure that you have the ones that are activated. You have to keep that in mind, because if you have a gene, that doesn't mean it's activated. If you have a specific predisposition to something, doesn't mean you're going to get it. It just means that people with that gene tend to become like that. And all right, I'm going to break down my genes as an example. And let me go over a few things first. My DNA, it was genotyped. It's still too expensive to completely sequence, and you can't really, at this moment in time, you can't really get your complete DNA and have it, completely broken down for you and interpreted so that you can fully utilize it. But, it can be interpreted based on the markers that are in your genome, and then that is based on other people's genomes. So, again, it's not 100% certain. It's all probability. People with this gene tend to have this. People without this gene tend to be like this. It's that kind of stuff. I wanted to say that it was genotyped. I can still infer what I need from my genes. I'll be able to better eat and better live from my genes. All right, so some of the more technical definitions and stuff. DNA, everybody's heard of that. It stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. DNA is made up of 4 nucleobases, which are amino acids, A, C, G, and T. And this all stores the information in your cells, and it's in the nucleus. The information is how you grow, how you function. It carries memories and all of that kind of stuff. And it depends on the way that your DNA is arranged. So your DNA comes in a double helix. It's in pairs of one of the A, C, G, and T. And based on the actual order that everything comes in, it changes the information. And that's why everybody's DNA is different. So genes are groupings of DNA. So your DNA is put into groups, which are the genes. The chromosomes are groupings of the genes. In humans, have 46 chromosomes. They get 23 from each parent. Your chromosomes are how everything is ordered. So out of the 23 chromosomes, 22 are totally the same for everybody. But then the 23rd chromosome is the one that you get that determines your gender or your sex. So this is a diagram that I found that better describes it. On the right, you start with the DNA. The DNA starts to combine, and it actually forms nucleotides, and the nucleotides are what winds and makes the genes, and then the genes make up the chromosome, and the chromosome's all the way on the left. All right, so my genes. I am mainly European, and I have some other ancestries that were able to take what genes I have, where they came from, and what region of the area of the world that they came from. So like it says here, I'm 99.1% European. I have 0.5% of Asian and Native American. I think most of that's Native American. I have 0.2% of the Middle Eastern North African, and I think it's mainly North African. Then I have some South Asian genes, which is mainly the Oceania area. And when you break down, this is the European, the 99.1%. When you break this down, I'm, it can isolate my genes into, mainly British and Irish, and then followed by French and German. And then when it says broadly Northwestern European, that means that the other genes mainly came from Northwestern European descent. And I know through my own ancestry and genealogy that I did come from Ireland and Germany. So if you look at pictures of me, my beard is red. So that is accurate. It appears that I must have gotten more of the Irish genes than I did the German genes, but to my diet now. And so this is another example, the haplogroup. So where my, I guess, if you trace, all right, so all the genes, they come from, each. You can actually trace the male gene all the way back, first male that they can identify, and then you can do the same with the female. You can trace the female side all the way up through the mothers, and on the left is the maternal. So the female side traces back 40,000 years, and it was from the Europe, Near East, North African, the Mediterranean era, and you can see there my actual group was U5B1C, and on the right is the paternal, the male side, and it was only 18,000 years old, and it came from the similar type area, the Southern Europe, the Mediterranean area, Near East, North African area, and you can see that this subgroup is J2A1B1. And then plus, just to show you, you can tell I had 296 Neanderthal variants. So I had 78% more variants of Neanderthal. And it still said that it accounted for a little less than 4% of my total genome, the Neanderthal variants. I think the most that anybody's been identified with, any human, modern human today, was only like 5%. And so here is my 23 pairs of chromosomes. It's completely laid out here. It's even color-coded so that you know where each gene has been identified. So all of the different shades of blue is European. As you can see, again, 99.1% was European. The purple is the African. There's a couple, I can see 2 right off. I guess there might be a few more mixed in there that came from North Africa, was where my genes trace back to in Africa. The orange and the red shades were Asian. The orange was actually the Southern Asian, and the red was the East, I guess, yeah, the Eastern Asian. And then the yellow was the Native American traits that I found. And my Native American traits were actually my muscle fiber types. All right, so let me go into some specifics. And these are just examples of specific genes and markers that I have that correlate with different conditions. So when you're looking at this, you're going to infer this information applied to your diet. So, the 2 examples I have here, the top one is lactose tolerance, based on the gene MCM6, my specific genotype, I had the AA, were the bonds there, and that means that I am likely lactose tolerant. So I'm not lactose intolerant. Again, I'm from Europe, and most people in Europe are, not lactose intolerant. And that's true. So that means that in my diet, I can add in milk, and that's okay. It won't bother me. Again, you should test it on your own and see if it does, because it's not 100% accurate. But if you test it with good quality milk and you don't seem to be bothered by it, then that's probably true. And then you can apply that to gluten tolerance. So based on the gene HLA DQ 2.5, my results were CC, so that was my genotype. That means that I had a lower risk of getting celiac disease. This was one of the genes associated with celiac disease, which is a gluten intolerance type disease, and I have a decreased risk of being gluten intolerant. So I probably came from a place that had a higher instance of eating gluten, eating grains, and I will more than likely do okay with gluten. Again, you should test it on your own, but I would probably stand up better against people who have a higher risk of celiac disease. So this was my fat digestion, my saturated fat digestion. There were a couple markers that I was tested for, and under the genes, you can see the markers there. And so based on my saturated fat genetic markers, I tended to be less sensitive to saturated fat. So I had a decreased risk of obesity when I ate saturated fat. So all of my genes actually pointed that way, which makes me a little higher, to where someone else who may not have these genotypes would be less, I guess would be more sensitive, so they'd have a chance of becoming more obese eating a high-fat diet. When you look at insulin resistance, there was a lot of genes that were tested. And, of course, looking down through, one says lower risk, one says greater risk. Another one says above average risk. And when you factor into all of these genes, everything that people have, and what the instance of insulin resistance was with each gene, I actually had a below average insulin resistance score. Again, probably correlating to if I had genes that came from Ireland, they would have eaten a lot of oats traditionally. So that would have been a more higher glycemic food than someone else would be eating, say in the extreme north. And that probably does correlate correctly. I just put this in here, my methylation status. I had two genes tested. One was MTHFR, one was MTRR. There were a couple others that I had tested for, but these were two big ones, and so I just wanted to break these down. The MTHFR gene is the one that the function of this gene converts folic acid to the 5-methyl tetrahydrofolate. And with my genotype, I actually did not convert this very well. So that means I had to be more careful with my diet and with getting folic acid. And the MTRR gene is the one that is involved with methylation, so recycling B12. And I had poor methylation of B12. And so that probably means that I actually ate more meat and stuff that had the forms of vitamin B12, because if I had a higher methylation, that means that I would want to eat less, or else I would get toxicity. And again, it's true if I had come from a place that ate a lot of meat, and people who, someone like Ben Greenfield talks a lot about over-methylating and under-methylating. People who do better on vegetarian diets and vegan diets, they are probably over-methylators. So when they eat meat, they probably don't feel as good. This is another example of how genes can play into your diet. I happen to be an under-methylator, and I need to eat more meat to actually be as healthy as I can. So muscle fiber type, it's a little off the field of nutrition, but I wanted to just show you an example here. My muscle fiber types, I had vast majority slow twitch. I had a much, much higher slow twitch percentage of genes and markers than I did fast twitch, and than did most people, So of course, I'm not a sprinter or a power muscle type. I'm an endurance muscle type. And again, there was a couple genes that were broken down here, and they break down a little bit more than this, but this means that if I wanted to reach my complete top potential, I should focus more on endurance events than sprinting or, weightlifting. And of course, this I think only does apply for like 5%, one way or the other. But if you were trying to get to your highest potential, if you were going against this, then you would not be as successful than if you had gone for it. I remember, again, Ben Greenfield is the one who likes to go into genes and genetic markers, and he said that he had taken these same kind of tests that I had, and he had been an endurance athlete for years and years, so he was sure that he was going to be, the same here as me, not a sprinter or a power muscle type, but an endurance muscle type. And he actually found out that he was a sprinter and he had lots of sprinting in him, but he had been doing the opposite thing for years, and he had managed to get to the world championships for triathlon. So he was really good, but if he had done something else, he probably would have been able to be better. So these are just a few examples of genetics, and I did want to, just kind of brush over the top to help you understand. So, based on this, I would want to, make sure I ate more meat. If I worked out, I would do endurance type events because I would respond better to it. I'm fine eating, lactose and milk products. I might want to be a little mindful of my gluten intake and make sure it's properly prepared grains, but it shouldn't bother me. And I really just wanted to give you a taste of the world of genetics here. And these are all my specific genotypes. This is not from anybody else. They feed into how I should set my nutrition goals. And so I need to take these into account, or I'm going to be working against myself and I won't be able to reach my specific potential. And it's the same is really going to be true of everybody else. If you want to reach your fullest potential, if you want to be the best you can be, you need to be working with your genes and not against them. So it's important to know ignorance is not bliss in this case. You really need to make sure you know where you are so that you know how to be the best version of yourself that you can be, right? So I do wanted to remind you that if you did have any kinds of questions about this stuff, to use this hashtag. You can ask me any kind of questions, and I'll be happy to answer. It's a very complicated topic, and there's a lot to it. It's easy to get lost in the weeds, and having somebody who's at least done it before can be helpful. So, by the way, I did just want to say that I think nutrition is awesome, and it can be the doorway to the life that you want to live and the life you want to lead. You can have the health you want, you can have the body that you want, and the energy you want just from the nutrition that you have. And everything gets better when you have better health. Once you get it, it's really not as confusing as it seems at first glance. I know that nutrition can seem really confusing. It can seem like it has a lot to it, but it really doesn't have to be as confusing as everybody leads it to be. So until you get your nutrition right, nothing is going to change. That's also true of health. Until you get your health right, nothing is going to change. But once you change your health, I'm sure everything will follow suit. This is the absolute right place to start to change your nutrition. And look, I know this still seems daunting. It was really daunting for me when I first started. Make sure you tune into all these free webinars, and you'll be in the top % of the educated people in this field. If you have missed any, make sure you go to wildyourhealth.com/replay. Start to direct your ancestry. You can ask me questions, and I'll be more than happy to answer. But if this all still seems confusing, the ways that you can make it work, like I did, you can put in the time and energy and, study everything that you can get your hands on. You can wade through all of these false promises, all of the diet fads out there to find something that works specifically for you, or you could tap into my years of research and investigation and experience to quickly and easily get to your specific health plan with no headaches, no confusion. The fastest path to this is to ReWild your health. So everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. I think that is really true. I'm the type that likes to learn everything I can about a topic, and most of the time once you get there, it's like, oh, well, I should just apply these few principles. I shouldn't apply all of this. I just needed to know it to have the perspective. And that's where I'm here to help you. I'm here to make this as simple as possible, but not simpler. So what is ReWild Your Health? ReWild Your Health is the complete step-by-step program to correct, balance, and maximize your nutrition. It is the absolute fastest way to get from point A to point B. It is step-by-step, meaning that each step is laid out for you. There's no confusions or misunderstandings, and you will end with a plan specific to you and your goals, you and your genetics, everything that we talked about here. It is step-by-step, and you will understand how to do it. It's a difference between getting there in the car on the left, where you're not sure if you're going to make it there, if it's even going to start, and the one on the right, the new Tesla Model 3, which will get you there the fastest, most efficient way possible, and the safest way possible. So what is it exactly? What is ReWild Your Health? It's a 12-module course, and it starts where your diet is now, and it gets you to your diet goals. If you're starting from the couch with your bag of chips and pizza and stuff, that's where it starts. It meets you where you're at. There's no ambiguity. Everything is completely laid out for you. It's really simple to understand, and it's intuitive. It's the exact path that I've honed over the course of years and more than 10,000 hours of study and ongoing study, even more than 10,000 hours that I've put into this. I love learning about health, and I want to bring all of this to you. I wish I had something like this when I was getting started. It would help me have broken through the barriers and, be able to get to the point that I want to be. A lot of people talk about, if you want to do something, all you have to do is mimic people who know. And, I wish I could have done that. And that's what I'm trying to lay out here for you. So I'm going to break down the modules here. Module number 1 is, what does health even mean? It's the internal and external factors that can change your health. You'll go much farther in depth about this topic than we've talked about. You'll discover all of these topics and how they can be your downfall, or you can make them your strength. Plus, you'll also get your own personalized health plan, and this will show you where to start. Module number 2 is, what should you feed a human in a zoo? How you should eat and what your genes are telling you. Find out how humans evolved to eat. This will really surprise you, how diets can cause different levels of health, so that you know how to become the healthiest you can. You'll understand what it takes to get to be the healthiest that you can be. And you'll apply all of these lessons to modern day life. It's not just going to be hypothetical, you should do this. You're going to learn about the history and then how to apply it to today. Number 3 is the easy way to find plants. These are the steps to sourcing the best food in the world. You'll learn why sourcing your food can automatically create the life that you want. You'll get specific instructions on how and where to find this food and find it cheaply. And this includes more than plants. It includes, bacteria and fungi and produce, and those are really the superfoods that nobody ever really talks about. And then module number 4 is the easier way to find meat. It's the process of acquiring better meat for less money. Learn what is important about finding quality meat, and where should the emphasis of your money be placed, and how you can relieve the burden placed on your wallet. Module number 5, raise your sources to the next level. The 5 steps you need to get the quality you deserve. Learn the 5 steps to getting way better food than you can get from the store. And look, nobody's really telling you this. You can save even more money doing this. This really feeds into everything else. Module number 6 is level up your life. These are the 5.5 foods that will change your life. These are the true superfoods that only the top nutritionists even know about. And just this section can give you the life that you want. I actually mentioned these 5 foods earlier in this webinar, and the extra half is really the cherry on top. It includes the best way to get the most nutrition from your foods. Module number 7 is number 23, and why this number makes you do everything. I'll let you in on the secret. It's about genes, and we barely scratched the surface today. You'll discover information on the cutting edge of the field of nutrigenomics, the science of how your diet affects your genes. Learn why your DNA is set in stone, but your genes can change throughout your life. Module number 8, the cake is a lie. Why you slip up and why it's okay. It's a little joke here for any portal nerds out there, but understand how to deal with stress and setbacks, the psychology of eating, learn why you can cheat, and I don't like the word cheat, with your food, but how you can stay on track. Plus, you can create your mindset to achieve your goals, and this can help with all aspects of your life. Module number 9 is the nutrition of water. How just one thing can make 99% of your molecules. You're 70% water by volume, but you're 99% water by molecule. When you can find out how you can be made from the purest substance on earth. You won't be hearing this elsewhere. You'll be made from a substance that hasn't seen the light of day since before agriculture even started. Before any of this pollution had happened to the planet, you'll be able to get the purest substance on earth. And you'll learn that not all water is created equal. You should source your water like you source your food. Module number 10 is what goes beyond nutrition. It's the 7 techniques to get more out of your food. Why these 7 techniques should be taught as a kid, because they make all the difference for your food. And you'll master the art of eating and cooking just from watching me. So module number 11 is your specialized health plan. It's the plan that best fits your life, made by you. You become the architect of your own health. And by this point, you will have made your own personalized health plan. It'll be all you. It won't be me helping you. It'll be, I'll be there to ask questions, but you'll be the one who makes it for yourself. And this takes into account everything from your goals to your genes. Module number 12, the final module. Now that you know everything, what next? How your knowledge can expand and where to go from here. Again, you will not need my help to make nutrition decisions after you finish this, because you'll be as much of an expert as I am. And this is where you can go to keep learning. It's where I go to keep learning and getting the information that I can. Plus, it's tactics for telling whether information you come across is true for you. It doesn't matter if it was true for some other person. It has to be true for you, and you can vet this stuff, and I'll show you how. So how much will it cost me? You could spend the 10,000 plus hours that I did to learn and decipher all this information. You could hire a personal coach for probably upwards of $15K, or you could pay thousands and thousands trying to figure something that might work. It may or it may not, but trust me, it doesn't have to cost you thousands. And look, I'm giving everyone a free pre-launch discount. You'll pay half of the launch price, and you can get started today for just $250. So, bringing it back in here, I want to reemphasize what you get with this. You get absolutely everything in this course. I don't want you to think that you'll get the half off the pre-launch discount and I'll only give you a little bit. That's not true. You'll get everything in the course, and I want you to have as many resources as possible. You'll get your very own copy of your health plan. You'll get a food journal, a recipe book, and a course book that comes along with it. You'll get access to tons of videos. You get audio, PDF, and video downloads, plus way more downloads of this course so that you can learn whenever you want. You don't have to be, hooked up to the internet to learn. Plus some more free bonuses. You get access to an exclusive Facebook page that you can ask questions of me. You can have the support, and you can learn from just this page. I'll have weekly Q&A calls where I'll answer your questions. There will be a course planner to help keep you on track. There's the awesome tools guide, and this is exactly what I use for making all of my food. Plus, you get a 60-day money-back guarantee. So that means that you get 12 epic modules for success, your personalized health plan, a food, mood, poop journal, a recipe book with pictures, a complete course book, tons of awesome videos, audio, video, and text downloads, exclusive Facebook page access, weekly Q&A calls for your questions, a course planner for success, the awesome tools guide, a 60-day money-back guarantee, plus lifetime access to everything that you see here. So all you have to do is visit course.rewildyourhealth.com/presale. And really, my goal here is to help you get to the potential and the goals that you set for yourself. I want you to be able to understand how you can set a good goal and how you can achieve it. This is not just some hypothetical thing. It's not just helping you with one aspect. It's helping you from start to finish. I want you to really be able to understand all of the stuff and to be able to help yourself. I don't want you to have to keep coming back to me to get all of your questions answered. All right, so again, today I did go over, how to specialize your health plan. You will actually be learning all of this stuff and more inside of this course. And if you have missed any of the stuff, again, I'll remind you, you can go to rewildyourhealth.com/replay, and you'll be able to get a bunch of this information. Make sure that you use the hashtag to ask me questions, and I'll be glad to help break this down. Make sure you tune in, next week and the week after, so that way you can get all the information that you can. And next week we're going to be breaking down some more information about water and a lot of this stuff that people don't really tell you about, but actually make a really big difference in your life. So thank you again for tuning in here. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask. Make sure you tune in for the rest. Go to rewildyourhealth.com/webinar, and you'll be able to get access to all of this stuff. And I hope to see you next week then. Thank you.